For those of you who do not know me or potentially do not remember me, I am Veronica. I was your 2019 Arts and Crafts teacher. So, appropriately, today we are here to do some crafts. We're going to do the camp favorite of tie-dye. It's going to be a little different. We're not, unfortunately, sitting outside the shops at a really nice green table in the sun. I'm currently here in cloudy Essex. It's a little cold. Back home it's at least 10 degrees warmer. I'm a little jealous. So let's start off with what you will need, which shouldn't be a lot, hopefully. First, we're going to need some type of dye. Right here, I just bought a couple kits at a local craft store. It's tulip dye. I'm mentioning the name because I know for sure they have this at home, and if you have like a Walmart or something near you, they definitely have this in their craft or fabric aisle. I just bought two separate things. I bought a single dye of just black and then a kit with 3 colors. It's just a simple magenta, yellow, and blue. Those will blend well together. They're all corresponding colors, so you won't get murky grays or greens or ugly colors. So we're also going to need, with that, rubber bands and gloves. Those come in the kit, so we definitely need to use the gloves and the rubber bands. If you do not have enough rubber bands, you can buy it at an office store. Again, if you have a Walmart or a Dollar General or some type of dollar store, they'll have rubber bands as well. Again, with the gloves, that is very important. This dye is very strong. It will stain fabric and it will stain your hands. So especially when mixing the dye, like putting water in the containers and mixing it up, you definitely want to wear gloves because water activates it, obviously, and then it'll start staining anything it touches. And so after the gloves, you will need some type of container to put the garments in when they're wet with dye, so it can stay and soak up all the dye for at least 8 hours. I have a couple freezer bags, different sizes. We're gonna see if some garments fit in this one, and then larger bags should be perfectly fine. And I'll show you how to put those in there later when we get to that point after we dye everything. So, the last thing you're gonna need, and the first thing we're gonna start with, is a bucket of water. So, you don't necessarily need to have anything in here. If you get a tie-dye kit that comes with soda ash, you put that in the water and you let it dissolve and you mix it up. That does help the fabric kind of open up to absorb more of the dye and potentially be more vibrant. But also, I've noticed if you just use water, it's really to make the fabric moist so the dye spreads easier and that you don't have like splotches, and that it actually like blends together so you get a nice rainbow. We have 4 things that we're going to be dyeing today. I have a t-shirt. My helper also has a t-shirt. He also has a tote bag that will eventually be mine. And then I have a razorback tank top that I'll be dyeing. This is a different fabric. It's kind of stretchy. We're going to see how that works to potentially help you with your future clothing choices. If you have something that's not 100% cotton or something similar. And then also we have a canvas tote bag, it's pretty thin, pretty meshy. It's not like thick canvas, so we'll see how that takes to dye. I'm not sure how that will turn out, so we'll eventually show you the products after they've been created, and we'll use some movie magic, and it'll be sitting here for a day, but it'll only be 30 seconds for you guys. So let's start with the shirts. So you're gonna take a shirt? One shirt. And fold it. Make sure there's no tags or stickers or anything on there. That way you don't dye and have a tag outline. That'll be nice. Unless you want to, you can put stickers on the shirt. Could be cool, but probably not what you want if you don't know it. And we're gonna stick it in the water. Make sure it's fully submerged. You want it to basically be soaking, but once the shirt is fully submerged, we're gonna wring it out so it's not sopping wet. You wanna make sure you wring out all the water where it's no longer actively dripping. Unfold it, fold it again. If it is super wet and super leaky, that will create a puddle under your shirt, which will make a mess of a color. It'll be that not so pretty looking mix of all the colors, which is like a poopy green. It's a good color. It's nice. Oh, look at all that. There's gonna be some splatters. That's why. Another important thing, whatever work surface you're using, protect it, please. At camp, we had grass and we had treated wooden tables that still stained a little bit. Got a little trouble for that. We got to scrub that a little bit. So we put down a garbage bag. I cut it up, laid it down, taped it on the table. Perfect. If you use a plastic surface or a wooden surface, it will stain. Your mother and father or potential guardian will not be happy if they come home to a tie-dyed dining room table. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you 2 techniques of how to rubber band lay out your fabrics. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to start with Brandon's. His shirt, we are going with the crumpled method. It's actually quite popular at camp. We just don't call it that method. You guys just it's kind of the abstract method that everyone seems to go for, where you just end up bunching and putting colors where you feel. He's doing that, but with 2 tones instead of a rainbow. He's going to be using magenta and black. We'll see how that works out. I'm excited. So, basically, since it's the crumpled method, it's not very organized. You can go ham with it. You can do whatever you want. So, I'm going to start right up here with this little shoulder armpit section. I'm just going to grab it. I'm going to scrunch it. And then I'm going to take a rubber band and I'm going to put it where I scrunched. And now you're going to do that wherever you'd like.
Okay.
Until it's one big clumpy ball. So when it comes to sectioning off and putting rubber bands, kind of like a pizza pie method, which I'll show you in a second with mine, you might need assistance. So this is what it is. So with mine, I'm quickly going to show you how to do the classic spiral, which is another all-time favorite at camp. Everyone wants that classic tie-dye look. It's actually really easy to achieve. So basically, I'm going to lay out your shirt flat, and then you're going to start wherever you want your spiral to start. That is where you're going to pinch. So I'm going to start down here in the corner. I'm going to pinch, and then I'm going to start turning like I'm, I don't know, turning a dial. I'm turning on the stove. Do you guys still have cooking stoves?
It's an odd way to turn on the stove.
You pinch and turn. Okay. Point being, you twist. We're twisting, trying to keep everything as flat as possible. And then when you get to a certain point, instead of just pinching and twisting, you can start smushing over. Now we're going to create the little triangles that will help us section off the colors. I'm adding 3 rubber bands. So it's going to take a bit of wiggling around to make sure it's all where I want it. Got it. She's all spiraled. She looks like a little flower, actually. Pretty nice, pretty cute. So now comes the fun part. We're going to dye them. So when it comes to laying out color, if you use a lot of it, it tends to bleed. So specifically with this crumple method, you want it to look splotchy, and you want to be able to differentiate between the hues. You don't want a lot of blending. So what you're going to do is you're going to do you got to do a light-handed dispersing of the pigment. You don't want to just like squirt it on there and have it drip and be stopping, because too much, again, it'll pull in the bag, it'll pull under the shirt, and then it'll bleed all the colors through. See, that's what you want to be careful of. So squirting it around, that's how you get the dye everywhere, and it makes it really messy. You want to have it kind of in a focused area. One thing too, instead of just sprinkling it on top, you want to make sure that like there's some parts you see where like you go in further and it's white. Like if we open it up, we want to get pink in there. So like just go in there and squirt it all up in there. Heck yeah! Okay, so now the next color you're going to do is you're going to do the black one. And so this, you want to be even lighter handed with because it's the accent color. So basically, you don't want to do as much pink or as much black as you did with pink. So this method, just kind of like sprinkle it here and there, stick it in a little bit sometimes. Again, this could look different with whatever colors you use. You could use the rainbow. You could use one color potentially just as the pink. It would be fine, or just as whatever single color. It would look very cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, yes, you're going to make sure, yep, it's good. Open the bag, and we're going to slide it on in. And then now you're going to make sure there's no air in the bag. You want to like tighten it as much as you can. This isn't necessarily dire, it's just to make sure that the bag or the shirt doesn't move around in there as much. You want to make sure it's nice and stationary. Good? Success! So with this spiral, I will be using these three colors, the simple rainbow kit that I bought. Again, magenta, yellow, and blue. I've split my shirt into 6 sections, and I'm going to be giving each color 2 sections in a classic little rainbow. And so, same as what I was saying with the crumpled design. With this, again, we want to be super light-handed. We don't want to make the shirt sopping wet with dye, just to make sure that we get the best colors that we possibly can. So I'm going to start. Be careful also if you've been handling a shirt already or handling the dye, there might be some dye on your gloves, so you might either want to get new gloves if you've handled a shirt already, or you want to just be careful where you touch and just be aware that you might get a little dye on your shirt that you don't want there yet. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to take one of these little triangles and I'm going to start filling it in with color. Hi, so I did exactly what I told you not to do. I definitely overloaded the shirt with too much dye. And so I had to clean up the mess that I definitely created. So I had to squeeze out the shirt a little bit, which caused the colors to muddle slightly. And now I'm cleaning up the aftermath, which is a lot of wasted dye. I have one more style to show you, which will be done on this Razorback tank top. This will be the accordion style. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to again check our shirts for tags, make sure there's nothing on there that we don't want dyed. We're going to lay our shirt flat. In this case I'm going to lay it this way, sideways. I'm going to take the shirt and I'm going to accordion fold it. So basically I'm going to take it on one end closest to me. I'm going to fold it inward about an inch. I'm going to then take that and fold it underneath the same width. And I'm just going to keep doing that back and forth. So it creates a back and forth fold, kind of like how accordions look, hence the accordion fold. So, now that the table is a mess, you can definitely tell that the craft is complete. So all that is left is cleaning up your mess. So once you are done dyeing your shirts, you place them in their freezer bag and you let them sit for a minimum of 8 hours. But if you can, if you have the time, let them sit for about a day or so, about 24 hours. In a nice sunny spot, like a windowsill, that would be great. Just direct sun and direct heat will help the dye absorb better into the clothing. And then once you are done letting those shirts sit, you will then rinse them out individually in the sink. I stress individually so much because again, even though your shirt has absorbed the dye, that dye is still in there, so it could then bleed and mix on spots that weren't originally dyed and take away the white spots in your tie-dye, and then that kind of makes it again look murky and muddy and not as crisp and clean as you would prefer. Make sure the water runs completely clear. We'll get some images in here for you, some video showing that process so you can see it a little bit. But then once it's all rinsed out and no color is coming off of any of the shirts, then they are safe to then rinse and wash all together in one wash cycle. And so you wash it on cold, let it go through the cycle as it normally would, and then you put it in the tumble dryer as you normally would, and then bam, your shirts are ready to wear, and you should look nice and colorful for a fun summer day. So let us see some of your creations if you end up crafting with us.